stuff in on time.
So you did it?
Well, you're doing that under good news?
Game's on.
You're doing that under good news and recognition, right? Sure.
Just meet me
We
down
good to
there.
go? All right. Let's open this meeting for May 2nd. Start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item, Twyla.
Counselor Albert,
Here.
Counselor Kobe,
Here.
Counselor Crawford,
Here.
Counselor Lunt,
Here.
Counselor Ward,
Here.
and Counselor Crafts,
Is it excused?
and Counselor Brunel.
Here.
Next item, Twyla.
Is good news and recognition.
Ready?
At this time, we'd like to call Chief David Brooks, former Chief David Brooks, to the front of the room. Call our former Lieutenant Dan Michelle to occupy the other dock. This year, the council is dedicating this year's town report to Chief Brooks. He began his career in Lisbon in 1974 and was appointed to serve as police chief in 1980 at 36 years old. Since his retirement on June 30th, 2016, he and his wife Lynn are enjoying the extra time with the family and friends. Scott Stewart said Chief Brooks was an excellent mentor and helped him get into law enforcement. Chief Brooks indicated he wore his uniform 94.5% of the time during his tenure here. Lynn could attest I don't think quite that well. He reported public safety needs were not declining and that there had been an increase needed for services since 2014. With calls on the rise, he always provided the best service possible with the equipment and personnel available. Chief Brooks brought many federal dollars to Lisbon, which purchased equipment and funded many special programs, like the $1,500 we received to run the seatbelt enforcement and reputation campaign, or the $3,900 for the 2016 evidence-based impairment driving high visibility enforcement grant award, just to mention a few. Lisbon was recognized as the 12th safest community in Maine to live, due in large part to the leadership and employees in our public safety departments and the safety initiatives and improvements we have made over the years. Thank you, Chief Brooks, for your dedication and commitment over the years to the citizens of Lisbon. We are truly benefiting. We wish you and your family the best in your retirement years. So we'd like to present you with our town report. Share with your family if you'd like more. Lieutenant Michelle began his career in Lisbon in 1976 at 22 years old. He graduated from the Maine Criminal Justice Academy in 1975. An opening came up in Lisbon, and his friend and colleague, roommate David Brooks, suggested he apply, so he did. Lieutenant Lieutenant Michelle was chosen over 77 others that day. He was always involved in his community, responding to thousands of calls for help and investigating too many crimes to count. He served 33 years of those as a lieutenant. Thank you, Lieutenant Michelle, for your many years of service to the residents of Lisbon. We are truly grateful. We wish you and your family the best in your retirement.
Welcome back, both of you guys. Oh, you also got married when we was at the academy.
Did you get some good pictures?
Between Gwen and I think we've got it covered.
Thank you. All right. Is there any other good news and recognition that anybody may have?
Nothing can top that.
I didn't want to speak after it, but I didn't know if somebody else might want to go. Next item, Twyla.
Under public hearings, we have a liquor license and a special entertainment permit for Peter Austin doing business as Frank's.
I will open the public hearing if anybody would like to speak on its behalf. Seeing none, I will actually close the public hearing.
Would you like to just allow, do you want to stay, or did you want to head out? You're welcome to head out if you want.
He froze.
Let's go.
That's
know
a
you
wise
pretended to
choice.
mimic
I've met us. Yes.
Thank you, Chief.
Great seeing you guys. Thank you.
Thank you, Dan.
I know, I see.
Thank you. You know.
Take care.
So the next item is audience participation and response for agenda items.
Would anybody like to speak before the council on anything on the agenda tonight? Seeing none, moving on.
Consent agenda. Any counselor wishing to have any item removed may do so now. Items removed would be taken up after. Order 2017-112 to approve the accounts payable and payroll warrants 128, 129, 130, 131, and 132, along with the minutes of April 11 and April 18, 2017, a renewal mobile home park license for the Sebatis Creek Mobile Home Park, the Memorial Day Parade Street closure, and a special entertainment and liquor license for Peter and Tracy Austin, doing business as Lisbon's Moxie Inc., also known as Frank's, at 2 Main Street.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Who's Peter?
That is Tony's real name.
Nice.
It's
Been a story there.
It's all part of the aliases. Next item, Twyla.
Council orders, ordinances, and resolutions. Order 2017-113, a request for the road name approval.
Anybody going to speak on that behalf? We have it.
The assessor.
Kathy, you going to speak on that behalf? You got the short straw, lady. I can see it.
I'm Kathy. I'm the E911 addressing officer. This is for the Kelly Park subdivision. The final plan was approved March 9th, 2017. I know they've had many renditions, and there are 3 new roads within the park, and the road names being submitted for approval tonight are Premier Drive, that's the main entrance, and that will be the access for the multi-unit apartments. And then there are 2 other roads, Champagne Lane and Wine Time Circle, and these are for the single-family homes. I was a little concerned with the Wine Time Circle, how that would come across in an emergency situation. So I talked to both the fire chief and Chief Hagan and asked them if they had any issues with that. Did they think there'd be a problem? And they both said no. So
Okay.
they're okay with it. And it meets E91 standards. So.
Perfect.
Okay.
Any questions of Kathy? If not, I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second. All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-114, the CDBG facade grant bid awards.
This is the updated right here, so you.
Yes.
Just so you know.
Good evening, Tracy Stuber, Economic and Community Development Director. I had originally in the packet had given you 4 different properties as far as that I was going to bring before council. I have updated that list, and we're down to 3. The 660 Lisbon Street will come back to you at another time. There was some questions and stuff on that one, so that one is just put on hold for right now.
Okay.
So what you have before you are the bids of 5 Main Street. The bidder was Creative Carpentry, and that comes in for window repair and replacement, the masonry and exterior carpentry, for a total of $9,700, and the grant award would be $4,850. That was the only bid for that property. 25 Main Street, J.W. Onan Company. He'll be doing the Onans local here in Lisbon Falls for his bid of $4,531.59. Atwood Painting for exterior paint, and he'll also be doing the brick cleaning for $2,800. Restorations Home Remodeling will be doing the window and door replacements of $21,972. Restorations Home Remodeling will also be doing the signage for $3,002. The exterior lights, we didn't get a bid on that, and I'll be coming back at the next council meeting to get that bid in as well. 913 Union Street, the award to Restorations Home Remodeling for roof repair of $24,900, siding replacement of $15,800, exterior carpentry $11,250, and door replacement of $2,400. That project comes in at $54,350, and with a grant award of $20,000.
Are any of the business owners here tonight? Are there any issues associated with?
They are not. The 913 Union Street, I've been going back and forth with Chrissy as far as in emails. Cheryl Haggerty has 25 Main Street. She stopped in earlier today, and she had a meeting at 6. She was going to try to stop back in after. M5 Main Street, this is a gentleman that had been doing work previously, so
They're good if we award these as written
that is
here tonight.
correct. Yes. They're all on board.
Any other questions of Tracy?
I'm just curious, and maybe we've already covered this, I just don't remember. But what happens if one of these contractors can't meet their obligations, can't fulfill that, and they've already been paid? How does that work?
In my conversation with the state, because I did ask that question, my conversation with the state is that basically it's would be up to me as a grant administrator working with the owners and trying to find somebody that can do the job. So it wouldn't have to go back out to bid. We wouldn't have to go through that process.
That's what I wanted to understand.
Because we had already done that. The 25 Main Street, there were some bids that didn't come in on that, and it was, okay, as you saw from your previous email, now all of a sudden you're seeing bids there. And again, it was contacting the state. They pretty much hold the cards. All I can do is ask for advice. And they felt that there was people around, and especially knowing with Restorations Home Remodeling has been doing a lot of the work anyways, that they felt comfortable with having him put in a bid that I could bring before you tonight.
Sure, and I guess for what I'm coming for is not to single out anyone, but
Yeah.
to more talk in general terms to say, in the event that any one of these contractors who's awarded a bid has some hardship that prevents them from continuing on, the business owner isn't the one that penalized by waiting to have to go through a bid process again and getting approved. It's
No.
discretion of you.
Working with, yeah, I would,
administrator.
as administrator for the grant, I would work with the owners and the state and make sure that the project gets completed. Because ultimately, that's what they want. But again, it's the guidelines. This is federal dollars, and there are a lot of guidelines
Understood.
and rules that you have to follow.
Perfect. Thank you, Tracy.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? I will entertain a motion to award as stated on the revised copy.
We'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you.
Next item.
Order 2017-115, Route 125, Canal Street Agreement.
Walk of shame.
Encouraging. We had a whirlwind of meetings last week. Pardon me. Ryan Layton, Lisbon Public Works Director. We met with both DOT and the ATRC, which is the Androscoggin Transportation Resource Center, which governs basically MDOT-funded projects in Lisbon, Lewiston, Auburn, and Sabattis. At this point, the gist of it is there's no way that DOT.
You guys need a minute?
Yes,
Sorry.
please.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No problem.
No, we're good.
You sure?
Keep going.
All right. At this point, there's no way that we can get DOT to fund Band-Aid, so to speak, to Main Street and Canal Street to tide us over until they actually do the reconstruction projects, which at this point is 19, maybe 20. We really don't have a definitive time frame at this point. One of the options that was proposed to us at the MDOT meeting was for us to piggyback on the light capital paving program that the state does, where they put out basically this type of Band-Aid work on roads that are outside the urban compact, and that's the only place that the DOT funding can be used, is if it's outside the urban compact. But we're allowed to tag on to that contract to be able to get the benefit of the volumes that DOT is using and get a reduced rate. So we're looking at around $51 a ton for us to go out in Band-Aid, Main Street, and Canal Street. This is all out of pocket from Lisbon. My memo, I had some numbers off, and I apologize for that. We're looking at doing 4,800 feet total, not 4,000 feet. There was another section of Main Street that I hadn't included. So that brings us up to a total of about 630 tons of asphalt at the rate of 51, I believe it's 51.35 a ton, is the numbers that we were quoted from DOT. And that's through Crooker, 51.65, excuse me. And that puts us at a total for hot top of about $32,539.50. And that's an estimate based on them. You know, it's an estimated amount of tonnage. When they go out and actually drag it, it may be up, it may be down. DOT, they would administer this project for us. We would have to enter an agreement with them. It's $2,500 a day, basically, or for about 1,000 tons. So any way you look at it, we're under the 1,000-ton amount, so we'd be looking at $2,500 or less would be what we'd have to pay them, and that's for traffic control, inspection, sweeping, you know, all the stuff that goes with them doing the paving. So the gist of it is that about $35,000 we can patch the worst section of Main Street to get through until they actually come back and reconstruct it, but it all needs to come out of our pockets. How would you like to proceed?
In your dialogue, did you get any assurances that we won't be postponed further in the 2019-20 timeframe?
No.
And since they're the ones that would manage the project, they could, if we approve it tonight, they could set to when they want to start that project. Is that right? Or did we get some sort
This
of
part,
guarantee?
correct? This
Yeah.
would happen right away.
Okay, so that's what I wanted to understand. I want to hear that if we green light this, that somebody's going to be out there next week. Maybe that's a little aggressive.
Yeah.
But you understand.
It'll be at least July.
Okay, so that's fair. At least we know that in this fine working season that we have here in Maine, which is a very short one,
Yep.
that we can expect that the repair would be done before the snow flies.
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. I think that's a small victory.
We'd want the money, the funds to pay for this would come out of the DOT match that we have in the current budget, that $217,000.
Would we have to then replace that at the time?
But, yeah, and I've got a plan for that. What we'll do is the remaining balance will carry forward, but I also have in a carry forward account about $29,000 in MDOT matching funds to finish paying for the Route 196 that was done 2 summers ago. I still haven't received a final bill.
Okay.
But once we receive the final bill, whatever is remaining, we can put back in.
So we could shuffle the court. I think I
Yep.
see what you're saying. We have the ability right now to shuffle some funds that were set aside for that 196 project
Yep.
to take up the lion's share of this, with the understanding that when the final bill comes due, that will be somewhere we could plan for it accordingly, somewhere down the line.
No, I want to do it just the opposite. I
Okay.
want to take from the appropriation in this current budget we have and pay this $35,000. And then once the other bill comes due, the remaining balance in that account will put into this other carry forward.
And
So we're going to end up having 2 carry forwards.
it's fine.
Yeah.
I see now. Thank you.
The silver lining in any of this is that we've been more aggressive than we need to be on our matching funds for a project that's at least 2 construction seasons out.
We have it. That's really what
Right.
it translates down to. We have it.
What we've funded right now is the PE and right-of-way,
Huh?
sorry.
Go ahead.
Okay. What we've funded so far is the PE, professional engineering part of it, and then the right-of-way portion for the 125 project, as well as the Route 196, 125 intersection project. Technically, there's 3 projects total there, and we're quite certain that in total, it's likely underfunded based on what the scope changes have been since the projects were originally conceived. So that's, I mean, there's a good chance that it could stretch beyond the 2020 timeframe if the funding's not there. I mean, the design, all the public hearings, all the public notices, everything could be done and on schedule, and they could be ready for construction in 2019, but the funding may not be there. I mean, that's the facts of that, as far as that's concerned. I will, just to update you a little bit, because we're talking about those projects, is the tentative timeframe for the first public hearing is this June. So that's an encouragement. The discouraging portion is that there's at least a 15 or an 18-month period after the fact for the right-of-way negotiations and that process that DOT has to go through for the 125 project.
Let me ask a question. With the uncertainty of when this potential project could go through, refresh my memory, Diane, I'm having a brain cramp right now. How much do we have to set aside for the DOT project again? How much was our
Ours is 10% of the,
of, so what would that have been?
Conceivably, let's see, 1.8.
about 400,000, right?
Okay.
Yeah, because it could conceivably be $4 million.
Okay, so, so 400,000 that we have to, the town of Lisbon has to pay for. And if we're not sure that this thing could push out to 2019 or even 2020, if we have all that money earmarked already, what's
We've only set aside the 217 so far.
Yeah, yeah. And with the plan to have that
Right.
in place, to have the full 400,000 by that point, I just know that we have a lot of issues. We hear about it constantly about infrastructure, particularly our roads. And if they're going to keep kicking the can down the road, we're going to put this patch on with the understanding that this patch might hold for what, 3 years, 2 years? What? I mean, you're an expert opinion.
Hopefully till the state comes through.
Yeah.
That's what we're all hoping for.
Oh,
One way or the other.
I'm not going to hold my breath on that. I hope you don't mind, Chris. But what I'm trying to do is get your professional opinion on what you would think when they lay down a patch like this. They're looking at what, 12 to 24 months as a kind of a Band-Aid?
Well, it's the same product that they did, from basically the Bowdoin Town Line, from the Lisbon-Bowdoin Town Line out on 125, and they seem to do that every 2-3 years.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a long-term solution.
Okay.
It's just, this is, rather than us, I mean, the flip side of it is we do nothing, and Public Works continues to patch holes daily from now until 2020 or whenever.
Right.
We could spend a little bit of money this summer and cut out some sections. We did it a couple years ago, 2, 3, maybe 4 years ago, I can't remember at this point, where we hired somebody to come in and ground out the worst sections, and then we went back and paved them all by hand, and those held up reasonably well for quite a bit of time. But
That's piecemeal.
all in all, I think you're going to be in the same dollar amount easily over the next few years.
One's a piecemeal approach and one's the entire scope.
And I guess that's where I was kind of drilling in on to say there are we all have different, I'm sure, input from various constituents in this community as to where some of the bigger problems lie. Maybe if we're going to Band-Aid, that's going to be at a reduced rate for Main Street, maybe we look at that 217 that we set aside, and is there a way to reasonably use a portion of that now to attack some of the more aggressive problem areas? And if that's not feasible and it doesn't make any sense to go piecemeal at it and wait for a more, I guess, I'm lacking the word that I need here, but what's that?
I said, did you need some help?
Yeah, exactly. Strategy. More of a long-term strategy that involves just doing whole roads like we're doing right now. Then I guess that's what we haven't really talked about that. We talked about building something going forward, but right now there is some immediate need on the roads. And so maybe if we have some resources, and I'm not saying tap all of 217, I'm just saying take a look at some of the bigger areas that
My
we
understanding
hear.
that we only actually have to go to the level of the 35 that Ryan's talking about to be able to get us through of that 217.
Plus or
It says.
minus,
Right.
depending on where it finally ends up shaking out. I mean,
Right.
there's some areas on Main Street that
Yeah.
it's going to eat up some hot tub real quick. So, I mean, this is all based on best guesses,
None of it's perfect science. We were asking for authorization to move forward.
basically.
And I'm not saying
This approach, and
I'm not saying we should act on this at the same time or at the same time with what they're doing with DOT for Main Street, but at least when we finish that, taking a look at where we stand and then see if there's still time in the season to even talk about it.
You certainly can redesignate those carry forwards to whatever you want.
You had something to do.
Yeah, I'm going to make a motion.
Make it.
So maybe
I need a motion.
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
6-0.
I just got a couple of caveats.
Oh, we just voted. We
That's
can't
fine.
cap it
Well,
now.
it's-
What the
okay,
hell?
some addendum. Just so you know, the sections are basically from about 195, 196 Main Street to right around Edgecombe Road, Wing Street, that area, and then from about Sparsome to School Street. So it's not gonna be a complete,
Right.
125.
The areas
It's
that
the
have been
areas
agreed.
All you gotta do
where
is drive
we're-
down 125, and you know where the ugly
As
spots
long as
are.
everyone's
The
on the
area,
same
no,
page.
it's
Don't
not,
say
it's not a
nothing.
full, it's,
Right. I
it's
just make
addressing
sure
the
that's
issues
clear.
that are
Yeah.
out there.
Get the
Okay,
worst
that's-
spots, yeah.
That's a good point for the public.
The
record.
spots where you lose the horizon, that's when you know those are the
And
ones you
then
know.
the only other issue was that, as part of our paving discussion, Crooker's gonna be in next week, most likely, to do the access way up to the transfer station and the transfer station areas that are the worst. So we're looking at closing actually on the Friday, the 12th, to give them Thursday, which we're already closed, and that Friday, to be able to get the work done and not have to deal with public
Local
in and out of
traffic.
there. So, just so people know that that's the plan at this point, unless there's any objections, that we're gonna close the transfer station Friday the 12th. Weather permitting, with everything else that's going on, but they're gonna try to get
You're
that
gonna
work
put
done
that
next
on
week.
the web and everywhere,
Oh,
accordingly.
Teletron.
We'll make sure we put weather permitting, and if it's supposed
Right,
to
it
rain,
may
we'll be
change.
open, so.
Right, okay. Anybody have issues with that?
No?
Take your
Perfect sense.
trash the previous day?
Can't take
Sounds
charge
good.
the previous day because
Well,
they're closed.
Go Wednesday or Saturday?
That would be Wednesday, right?
Oh, this is gonna be good.
Next while.
Next
Ryan.
item, please.
Order 2017-116, Sewer Department used pickup purchase.
Following all the budget discussions that we've had, and at the stage we are with the sewer department budget, my request was to go out now to try to find a replacement pickup truck for the sewer department. We have funds that we're under budget on, or some accounts that we're under budget on, and some items that we're just not gonna do this year based on the sewer system evaluation and the overall big picture there. So I'd like to just do it out of this year's budget and not budget it out of next year's budget. And I asked for not to exceed 15,000, and I'm leery that may not be quite enough. But if we go to the auction, I'm sure it'll be enough. Poking around a little bit, we found a real nice truck that only had 50,000 miles for right around 17, so I'm also asking maybe for a little bit of leeway, but just get as close to the 15 as possible.
Could we just say 17 then and give you the leeway that way? And you don't have to come back
Give me
to us
20
for.
and,
It's still, what the point being is, it's still covered from what you had budgeted last year that you're under.
correct, I mean, we have one line that we planned for, and
This came out of the
50,000.
grinder. This came out of the grinder piece,
the
right?
grinder is the majority of it,
Yep.
and there was also a line that we budgeted $50,000 in case we had to do some major sewer system work based on the sewer system evaluation. But considering all that stuff's being wrapped into
Right.
the USDA thing, that was gonna just lapse back to
Right.
the undesignated anyway, so.
Anybody have issue with either one?
Well, I think given the 20.
Taking it off next year is clearly is an easy win.
Yeah, and then
Making it work from a budget standpoint, anybody have hardship with that based on what he talked
it
about?
fits in. He came in well under off the grinder anyway, so
Good
that
motion.
alone.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Their maximum.
6-0.
17, you heard it from him.
Wow.
That was 17,000, right?
Yes.
17,000, okay.
Next item, 12.
Order 2017-117, scheduled budget workshop on May 23rd.
And on May 23rd, we already have a workshop beginning at 6 o'clock with Western Maine Transportation. So what we're asking is immediately following that workshop that we schedule, have a budget workshop to try to wrap up what you want us to do with the budget so that we're
That's-
prepared for the public hearing.
That's the end game with all the list stuff that we talked about, everything that's been.
Yeah, this is where the cat stops.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Anybody have issue with going from the workshop directly into the budget to be able to wrap that up that night?
We're gonna be here.
There's very little slack with everything out there between the school budget, the referendum, and the municipal, that's the one date that comes out, that is still not reacting to a bad situation, it's proactive.
Tuesday the 23rd.
Right.
Let's do it.
Is there anything in that you guys have for questions to have Diane be able to prepare that hasn't already been brought to her?
I may put some stuff into an email, but
Okay.
nothing tonight.
I mean, I would like to see an estimated impact on the tax rate before you vote on anything final. You know, I mean, I know it's only an estimate, we don't have the final numbers, but, you know, some idea of, are we talking, a mill or, $1.5 million or half a mil? What's the, roughly where are we, in a ballpark?
Yeah.
We'd have a prelim going into that, but
Right.
just so you guys know,
So do you want it based on everything, even the schools portion as well?
I'd like to see maybe both, so we can know,
Both, so,
the
yeah.
impact that they're gonna have, so we don't just, vote on one number and then find we're blindsided by something else.
right. To your point right now, Mark, we were $1,000,005. We're at 768 and counting down at this point. So at least we know where we stand. But what we need to figure out at the meeting of the 23rd is where are we going to live with an overall increase? Because the decisions that we've postponed and
Right.
the fund balance discussions, we need to nail that jello to the wall.
It's half of where we started, so.
And we're in a good
Show's
place.
not over.
We're in a good place because I think the things that we talked about to revisit at that later date are all things that'll be very easy for us to kind of go down the list and talk about and say, prioritize. I guess that's where I'm.
Right.
And once we prioritize, it'll be a little bit easier for us to kind of clear that up and say, this is something we have to do now, and these other things may have to hold for a little bit
Right.
longer.
The only thing that I would, again, is Diane has that combined list from all the various workshops, but if there's anything you guys are bringing to the thought process now that she doesn't, just get it to her so she can react to it in time before that meeting is all I would say. I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I need a second.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order
Thank you,
passed
sir.
6-0.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-118, unassigned fund balance expenditure designation.
That's a mouthful. All right, this is the 20,000 for the playground that we talked about at MTM. We need to do an official motion so we can start that process in motion to allow Mark to be able to go out for the RFP and begin that kind of dialogue.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed 6-0.
I understand they wanted to go ahead and speak, yeah.
No, he has something he'd like to read too.
Based on that show of support, that vote, I did want to come and ask for the permission to go out for RFP and close bids.
Then we are, Mark.
My name is Mark Stevens. I'm the Parks and Recreation Director for the town of Lisbon.
Thank you.
And saying that, I invited Luke Tuplin to come tonight. Thought it'd be appropriate for him to come and present to the council a donation that he'd like to give. Luke?
The outgoing of support from our community upon the loss of our son Mitchell was and continues to be above and beyond anything we could have ever imagined. This is our family's small way of giving back to our community, as there could never be anything we could say or do to express our gratitude. We've been waiting for an opportunity to do something to give back in this time of need. We've been following the efforts of the Lisbon community to raise money and funds for the playground and equipment, and just felt that this was the opportunity we were looking for. We will be making a donation of about $8,500 from our personal funds. It just feels right, and we know it's something Mitchell would be proud of, to be a part of. The MJBT Scholarship Fund, which is $7,500 this year, is raised mostly through the efforts of the Lisbon community, and just makes sense to donate this to such an amazing cause. It's a gift that will benefit the community for many years to come, and we're honored to be part of this. So it's $16,000 for the playground.
Mark needs a motion.
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Be able to go out for RFP to move this forward.
Correct.
All in favor?
6-0.
Your green light, Mark.
Go. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
All your hard
Tupper.
work.
Thank your family.
And the committee as well.
Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-119, tax acquired bids.
I need to recuse myself from this for potential conflict of interest.
Okay. So bids were publicly opened on April 25th, 2017, for 3 Lincoln Street and also for Summer Street. Pamela Dorisco was the high bid for 3 Lincoln Street in the amount of $16,000.
Like the way you think.
And for Summer Street, Walter Russell Senior, who is in the abutter, the only abutter, which would have been the only person that would put in a bid, and he put in a bid for $150. So we recommend awarding the bids as presented to Pamela Dorisco in the amount of to award the bid for 3 Lincoln Street for the purchase in the amount of $16,000 for 3 Lincoln Street, and Walter Russell in the amount of $150 for Summer Street. There will be a little bit of a balance on the Summer Street property that I'll come back at a later date to have you write off.
That was my only question, is the fact is it didn't make the minimum bid, so there is a write-off piece of it.
That was mine
And-
too.
$80.
Yeah, and you know, and most of that
But
is for the
property-
lien costs.
to a piece of property
The
that doesn't
actual
do any
Yeah, exactly.
benefit.
tax itself was
Yep.
around $2 for each year.
Right.
So, you know, when you do
was
the
more
lien
paperwork.
process and the foreclosure process, that racks it up, so.
Okay.
I need a motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Oh, five.
5-0.
5-0, he's recused.
One
Oh.
recused.
That's right.
Thank you. Next item, Twyla.
Order 2017-120, tax collectors small claims court proceedings.
Yes, currently, we have approximately $20,179.64 in outstanding personal property tax payers delinquent on the business and equipment. This is the time of year when I start the process of going to small claims. I usually start at the same time that we're starting the lien process on the 2017 taxes. I anticipate when we get ready to do this that there will be very few that I end up sending letters to, because we've been really actively calling the people, and we've had quite a few payers come in the last couple of weeks. So I'll have the regulars that I took last year. And by the way, the ones that I did take, I got my judgments. And I have also filed writs of execution at the Registry of Deeds as a form of a lien. So if they ever want to try to sell a piece of property or refinance, we'll get our taxes back. And then we have others that are on a payment plan, and some are almost caught up, which is really good. So we're making headway. So tonight, I'd like authorization to begin the small claims court proceedings.
Any questions of Diane?
I do. Just a quick question, and this is more for the viewing public. To get to this point, we've made multiple attempts with the, and so that's why I just want to go ahead and make sure that we outline that. I'm sure it's common sense would dictate that we would think that was the case, but I want it to be known on the record that we have made multiple attempts with these folks, and to get to this point, it's pretty far gone conclusion that they've gotten no response or no attempt to try to make good on the
Right, we send out
outstanding
reminder
tax.
notices, we're calling them, yes.
Thank you.
And just so you know, when a commitment is done, I only have 2 years in order to perfect the taxes. That's why I need to start this now. And this is a form of perfection. But by law, I have to collect everything within a 2-year period, or start a process to collect them.
Great. I think that's clear.
I make the motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Thank you. Next item, Twyla?
Order 2017-121, dispatch service agreement with Lisbon Emergency.
The 3-year contract is up on June 30th of 2016. The only changes we made in the existing contract is the dates. We're doing another 3-year contract. And as in the previous contract, each year of the contract, we increase the amount by $500. And that's what I've done moving forward. This has gone in front of Lisbon Emergency Board, and they're all set with it. So I would like authorization to sign and enter into a 3-year renewal for dispatch services with Lisbon Emergency, as presented.
Make a motion?
I'll second.
No questions, right on.
Wait,
All in favor? Oh, you got a question?
Yeah.
Discussion?
I just thought when I was looking at the packet, I thought that was more than 500 a year. Maybe I was just wrong. Because I remember seeing the line
No, an increase of 500 a year.
per
Did I-
year.
Did I say,
I
yes?
thought, yeah, so I
So
thought.
right now, this current fiscal year, we're collecting 4,000 from them, so the fiscal year 18 would be 4,500.
Okay.
Fiscal year 19, 5,000, and then 5,500 the last year of the contract. So increase incrementally $500.
As-
Oh, see,
as-
so, oh, yeah, I was gonna say, if you look at page 2 of that that was sent out in the packet.
Yep.
It says first year payment, it slashes out the 3,000 that was there previously. And then, okay, and I look at that, and it looks like 4,500. Am I wrong there?
Well, you look at the last one, 4,000, so that's gonna go up to 4,500, so you're gonna start the new contract with 4,500.
Okay, it shows that it's 5,500 in the last one, I guess. Am I look?
Right, but that's,
First year is 4,500, second year is gonna be 5,000, and then the
Right.
Third year is
will
gonna be
be
55?
5,500,
Okay,
yeah.
good, that's great. When I looked at
start
that,
from the 4,000.
yeah, I see what you're saying. When I looked at that, I thought it was from 3,000 to the 4,500, and it was 1,500
I know,
increase.
that's, sorry
That's
about
okay.
that.
No, thank you for clearing it up. It's the only reason I'm all ready to vote now.
Anything else? All in favor?
6-0, pass.
Yep. Next item, Twyla?
Other business, council committee reports.
We're gonna start with school. Sorry.
Nothing new to report.
Well said. Planning Board. Planning Board met Thursday, and they approved the CIP for both the town and the school. We just saw the water departments today, and that will be sent to you folks to make that deadline as well, like we talked about. And they talked about a couple of ongoing items. Kieran Transport on 196 in Kelly Park subdivision. They're looking for perspective on duplexes versus single-family homes. And their position on that is that the spirit of what they signed is a single-family home. And that's where they're laying right now. And they're moving towards comprehensive plan inventory for all the different aspects that need to make for that. That said, that would be my report. The other piece I'll pick up in council communications. Next is water.
Nothing to report.
LDC.
They are working right now towards addressing some of the graffiti issues in our town, and that's where we're at right now.
Conservation.
Nothing to report.
Recreation.
Conflicting schedules, I have to touch base with Mark, unless Mark wants to do a little presentation.
Recreation, anything, Mark? Appreciate it, thank you.
We met last night, and we had 2 items on the agenda, and one was the playground, and the other one was the counselor's workshop on the 25th. So we pretty much, you pretty much know everything that was talked about.
Okay, perfect, thank you, Mark. County, there's nothing. Library.
Library, they're going to be closed next Monday and Tuesday for their switch over to their new system. They're going to have people in to train the librarians on how to use their new software. So they had to close for the day to get that all done. So people can just come in on Wednesday if you're going to be on Tuesday. Don't walk in and see, oh, let me in. There's nobody to let you in.
Thank you. Town managers.
I just want to go back to taxes for a minute. I ran a report today to see where we are on collecting taxes compared to this time last year, and we're ahead of schedule. We have less outstanding today by probably 30,000 on the real estate and quite a lot less on the personal property going in before lien. So if we keep up at this rate, I'm hoping at year end we'll have more money to put back into fund balance because we'll have less liability on the books. But we're way ahead of schedule at this point. The personal property taxes, because we've been very aggressive in collecting, we have a lot less outstanding now than we did last year. So things are moving in the right direction, and I have to really give most of the credit to Megan. She does a really good job contacting everybody on the phone, trying to get payment arrangements, let them know if, they let it go to the lien process, it's just gonna incur more costs, and she's gotten quite a few people to come in and do payment arrangements, what they can afford. So I think it's just that reaching out to the people and giving them options really makes a difference. That's all I have.
Likewise on that, Diane let me know, and we talked about it at our last workshop. Revenues being flat funded, meaning $4,000 between years. There's a favorable excise tax, so she has reflected what she anticipates next year. So that is $68,000 different. That's now, so it's
Yeah,
to our advantage in that
Put
regard.
the excise tax back to what our current fiscal year is. I had done a reduction because we hadn't collected as much, but somehow, I don't know if it's the timing of the months, but now we're about 3% collected more than what I estimated. So if we keep going down that road, I feel comfortable budgeting the same amount as we have in this current year.
Good.
So that helped.
Again, the shopping list of stuff that we've talked about, they're actively still looking at right to the last minute to be able to have a favorable impact on the upcoming budget. Thank you, Diane.
Yes, thank you.
CDBG, downtown?
Tracy Stuber, Economic and Community Development Director. As you all know, there has been a lot of things going on in the downtown area of Lisbon Falls. You are aware that there is a purchase and sale agreement for the Miller Block property, and what's going to be going there is a Rusty's. Rusty's is basically a convenience store, gas station. The pumps are moved into the back of the building. So when you go along 196, what you're going to see is the facade of a building that looks with siding, and in the front will be all lawn area. Because of this development, it also kind of made us think in regards of our downtown grant, because we were looking at putting in new sidewalks. This project is not slated until spring of 2018. Right now, the developer is working on plans, and by fall, he probably will be coming to the planning board for approval on the full scope of work. In working with the developer, as well as our engineer, Oliver Associates, it was, what are we going to do? Because the last thing we want to do is put all of this money in from the grant into new sidewalks and then have it changed. So the arrangement made with the developer is that the developer is actually going to build us the sidewalks. I've asked for concrete because that's what we're doing, and he has agreed to concrete sidewalks. The grant will purchase the granite curbing needed, and he will do the installation of all the granite curbing. We'll coordinate, once we go back out for bid, for the contractor to come back next spring when the sidewalks are done to do the installation of the lights. That will be working through our contractor. So right now what we're doing, the engineer is working as far as looking at, okay, cost estimating it out differently, looking at a different plan on where are we going to extend with the funds from the grant, because we do need to work on spending those. So that's the plan now, also working with DOT within their plan. Our goal is to not have a gap. So where their project is going to stop at the intersection to where our project is going to meet down in front of Miller's. So we're working on that possibility of maybe even going up Union Street for a little bit. Again, that's still all in the work process. We'll go back before the Community Development Block Grant, the Downtown Revitalization Advisory Committee, with new plans, and then bring those new plans back before council and saying that this is what we're planning to do. Also with a developer in the back of the area, I've worked out with the developer, and again, we'll be coming back to council with more information about taking some of that property that he won't be using and adding downtown parking for the town. It is a need. We have this opportunity. Within that, we'll also construct like a little pathway, so it will connect right to Davis Street and to be able to access the trail right from Davis Street. With a gazebo, there will also be a gazebo in front of the store with a pathway, and that pathway will connect to the sidewalk, so folks can cross 196 safely and go into the gazebo or go into the store and cross back over and access to the downtown. So this really is going to be a great project. The developers also, we've had meetings with the owners of the businesses that are there and working with them as far as in setting up new locations. So if you have any other questions.
I do. So the engineering piece and the crosswalk specifically, we're still sticking with the same high visibility lights aspect, and is that still something that's part of, or are we scrapping that and just going with the I'm just wanting to understand.
The concept, I mean, there's still going to be solar lights,
Yep.
you know, and again, the concept is going to be the same. It's just going to be how far we're going down 196 or how far we're going up, Union Street based upon that. The grant is for that area, so it's not like we can take those funds and shift them anywhere else. It has to be spent in that area. But again, when you have the developer, the developer, when speaking with him, is, what about within the sidewalks? And he says, well, I do asphalt. And I said, no, it's got to be concrete because that's what we're putting across the street, and we want it to match. So he was willing to do that. So we've had great meetings, and I think it's going to be a great partnership with a new company coming in. So when you hear regarding the rumors, you can look up Rusty's. There are different ones around the area. This developer has built in about 2 or 3 per year. I've been working with him for over a year and bringing something to Lisbon. Within that, Irving will be the gas. So it will not be an Irving station, contrary to what people may think. The gas will be Irving, and that will be the dimensions and how it's going to be set up is that of a regular Rusty's. So the one in Thompson is the Shell station, but this one will be Irving station. But it will not be your typical Irving, building.
The downtown grant money, did that have a sunset that we had to spend it by?
Well, you get some flexibility as far as within the grant, but in working with the state, they really wanted to see something happen this year. A lot of it is that we just don't know
Right.
as we go down the road where things are going to be with these programs and how much more funding is going to come into these programs. So we have gotten the okay to work on, and this is what we want to be able to do. We're going to back out for an RFP and have the work begin in the fall, knowing that we're going to be saving some of that work for the spring, and they have approved for us to be able to do that.
Okay.
So
and
that
to
would-
extend it.
That's what I needed to
That would
hear.
satisfy the states, say
That is
something to
correct.
happen in the calendar
Yes.
year. Great.
We've already had the conversation with the state on what we want to do and got some advice from there saying, here's the thing, we don't want to go and put money into it just to have it torn up. It's because that's ridiculous. That's just a waste. That's not what we want to do. So they have given us the okay to go back out for the RFP in the fall, start the project in the fall, and then be able to finish the project next spring once the developer starts doing his work.
Perfect. Thank you.
When Ryan and I went to that meeting last week with MDOT, Mandy Alvaro went with us, our engineer, and, we had a lot of discussion about this project that we're doing, and they are very well aware that we need to get this back out to bid this fall, the sooner the better, and that we need to know what their limits of work are. And I told them, our grant money is on the hook here, and they understand that. So Mandy is working directly with their engineer right now, and I'm thinking probably June, Ryan, she should know what the limits are. Yeah, so just as soon as she knows, then she can redesign our scope of work so that we can get it back out to bid. But they do know there's an urgency for us to get our answers so that we can match into their project.
Good. Next item, 12.
Audience participation for new items.
Sure, come on up, sir. Identify yourself, please.
My name is Bill Cool. I am a member of the Playground Committee and the Recreation Committee, and I apologize for doing this out of sequence, but Ross sprung this on me last minute, and I blame him. On behalf of the Playground Committee and the Recreation Committee, we would like to thank the Town Council for your support in this matter. We think we wanted to let you know that we will work very hard in the coming months to make this provide a high-value, diverse abilities playground at MTM that will be a long-term asset for our community. And we wanted to thank the Tuplin family for their extremely generous donation that has made this even more possible. And thank you for your ongoing support.
Thank you, sir.
Yes, thank you very much for every one of your committee members. I know you guys worked hard, tireless. Yeah, a lot of emails. I know that for certain.
2, 3.
That's good stuff.
Anybody else? Seeing none, next item. Oh, yes, sir, come on up. Absolutely. Please identify yourself.
Hi, my name's Isaiah Larry. I'm a county commissioner representing Lisbon, Wales, and Sabattis. I do apologize for not coming earlier. I wanted to introduce myself a little while ago, but basically I'm just wanting to speak with the town council, offer my services. I don't want to meddle with your affairs. I respect local government. Coming from a small town of Wales, I want to keep it that way as much as possible, at the same time making myself available. So if there are questions or needs now or any other time, please feel free to contact me and make your concerns, complaints, hopefully maybe some praises in the future, but I'm too young and too early on that part. But let me know what I can do, please. I'm just basically presenting myself. So
Appreciate it. And give Diane your contact information before you leave here tonight.
Will do.
and
Okay.
That
Thank
way
you.
we can establish the contacts for us.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you for
Thank you.
coming. Anybody else? Next item, Twyla.
Council Communications.
Does anybody have anything?
The floor is yours.
I have one. It comes from the planning board the other night. We need to have some discussion eventually when the dust settles with the budget about what we're gonna actually do with the moratorium that we actually put out to be able to work towards a progress. The intent would be have members from a variety of different backgrounds, planning board, council, concerned economic development, to be able to put something together to figure out what we're ultimately going to settle on locally that would shape what the intent with that moratorium was. I just put that out there. General consumption, whatever you guys see, anybody that wants to express an interest in that, please let Diane know by all means to at least get it out there, and we can begin to start putting some plan on that when the budget is further down the road.
I think there were a couple of concerned citizens who piped up and had a lot of good information from that. I'm sure they'd be happy to jump in on that.
Yeah, and that's a general invite to anybody in that regard. If you got an invested interest, you'd like to be involved, by all means. Yes, sir. I saw it. Come on up again.
I apologize. A little too nervous. Basically, one thing I did want to mention to the council, I know that, the taxes have gone up. The jail, and I can't claim credit for this. This is the sheriff and Captain Shute and former commissioners have done a lot to try to work through like alternative sentencing programs to reduce the annual daily population as much as possible while still protecting, public safety by not releasing someone that is a threat to society. And also one of those ways that they do this is they have this inmate labor where they basically work for 2 days. They get 1 day off of their sentence, provided they meet certain requirements. So that is available to the towns, and that schedule is filling up very quickly. And I'd be happy to basically put you in touch with the right person, Captain Shute, who is always looking for opportunities for them to serve the communities. So if there's ways that would help save money, whether that's cleaning up a playground, whether that's, whatever, painting, it's available. And there are some limitations on, power tools and things like that, but they are available, and it's a way for the inmates to be able to get back to their community and at the same time get out and actually get some exercise other than at the gym, that sort of thing.
Appreciate it. Anything on that? Share that information with Diane as well, too,
Will do.
please. That
Sorry,
would-
I should have.
No, it's good. I appreciate it in that regard. It's because
Is that something we could implement with the graffiti issue? Free labor.
It may be. It may be. That is probably
That's how you
something that
shake
can
your
be done.
worst case scenario, somebody tells us no, right?
It's worth a
Captain
shot.
Shute is very committed.
Right.
And I can speak. I took a tour when I think before I was elected, I knew I was running unopposed. I took a tour of the jail and the county facilities, and from what I see, I don't see a bunch of waste and abuse. The
Right.
jail is meeting standards. It's not a hotel, and it's not fancy. They are doing everything they can to keep the costs down. So
One of the things
I
that
wanna
we're
see the
doing
taxes
next
go down.
budget season locally is the painting of the county courthouse is being done by that exact program, just to keep the costs affordable. That was part that came up through the budget hearings as well.
Could use a resource.
As much as possible. I believe you're on the budget committee, Mr. Ward. I'd like to work as much as possible with that budget committee when it convenes to see if there's new ways to cut costs and possibly flat level taxes. It's
Right
a
on.
big
You got our
jump.
You got our attention.
And I shouldn't say that publicly because it's a big leap, but I'd love to at least shoot for that.
Right.
and see what we can do. Obviously, it's going to be up to the rest of the budget committee as well. But
Sure.
looking forward to working with you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Yes. Any other? You had something? No? Or you just doing?
Nope,
this?
nope, no, the floor was yours, my friend.
She was doing.
Me?
She's
No.
doing the French thing. I saw the hand gesture that usually.
Why, do you think I was sitting over here?
No, I thought she was flailing.
We're on the
I
wrong
wasn't.
side today.
Next.
Keep us in order. Chris pulled the blocks on the
I
wheels.
like
We've been
that.
going down
I
there
like that.
fast.
Keep us rolling.
Appointments to Order 2017-122, the Recreation Committee. Caitlin Cyphers.
Hi, I'll just introduce myself. I'm Caitlin Cyphers. My husband George and son Henry and I moved to Lisbon Falls late last summer. Really love the community here, and I'm looking forward into getting more involved. I already teach some classes at the rec center, and I'm excited to hear about the playground going through. So I think a lot of good things are happening, and really happy to be a part of that. So.
Awesome.
Any questions?
Thanks for caring.
Yes.
You're welcome.
Coming out.
I need a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Welcome.
Welcome to the neighborhood.
You're in the van.
Yeah.
Next item, Twyla.
Is Order 2017-123 to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Order passed, 6-0.
Look at that.
Wow, Alan, you beat my record.
Yeah, there was nothing that night. I think there was 4 of us here, too. My memory serves. Oh, it was good tonight. Nothing went sideways for each other.
Exactly.
Soon as